2021 five-star quarterback Brock Vandagriff has announced he's decommitted from the University of Oklahoma. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I'm not on Step Mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I got to talk about five-star 2021 quarterback Brock Vandagriff, who announced on New Year's Day he has decommitted from the University of Oklahoma almost a year to the day that he was offered by Lincoln Riley to come to the University of Oklahoma. Brock Vandagriff is a dual-threat quarterback out of Prince Avenue Christian. I talked with his dad, Greg, numerous times over the last year. So had my buddy and colleague at OUinsider.com, Brandon Drum, where they'll have more. But I got to tell you, man, as soon as the Chandler Morris stuff started to heat up and I started making some uploads about it, I got a call. Thought nothing of it from Greg Vandergriff. It's like, okay, missed call, whatever. And then 3 weeks later, here we are, as I think he saw the writing on the wall with Chandler Morris announcing that he's going to commit at the Under Armour All-America game. I think it's down to Auburn, Oklahoma, Va Tech, and perhaps Boise State. But I think now we get to nudge in one direction what's going on. Chad Morris's kid is a four-star prospect out of Highland Park in Dallas, Texas. I thought perhaps it would have been made a lot of sense for him to go to Auburn to play for Gus Malzahn and his dad, who was the new offensive coordinator there. But apparently, Brock Vandagriff has decided that he's going to decommit and play closer to home, which means anything. LSU, Georgia, Alabama, a lot of places are really interested in the Brock Vandagriff sweepstakes. And for him to announce so early that he was committed to Oklahoma, and I talked to him at length about this in June when he went down for a camp, and he decided, you know what, rather than wait, let's just get it out of the way, let's go do it. And they hadn't taken any visits. They hadn't gone to see anybody. They decided they were going to be all in on Lincoln Riley, and they were going to ride this thing out. They were going to come in a couple years after Spencer Rattler had the controls. And the way that you would line this up, Jalen Hurts graduates, Spencer Rattler starts, assuming he beats Tanner Mordecai, which most of us think he will. He plays for 2 years. Brock Vandagriff comes in there, and he has an opportunity to compete and win the starting job. But now, Oklahoma fans are at DEFCON 3. Because, man, nobody really saw this one coming unless you kind of saw it coming, man. I mean, you're flirting with 2020 quarterbacks at a time when you really hadn't. You more or less, if you're Lincoln Riley, you just stopped recruiting quarterbacks altogether because there was only one 2020 guy out there that still had an Oklahoma offer, and it was Chandler Morris. And I think this was all going to go to plan if Chad Morris had kept his job at Arkansas. But since Chad Morris didn't keep his job at Arkansas, Chandler Morris, who was committed to play at Arkansas, decommitted from Arkansas and reopened his recruitment. And now you're looking at what you have at Oklahoma, and Lincoln Riley's come out and said, I only plan to do what we did last year and go get a grad transfer, which means that De'Aaron King is also off the table, as is store brand Cam Newton, a.k.a. Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest, for which I think he might end up at Florida State, all things considered. But now with Brock Vandagriff, who was the number one player in the country in the 2021 class, you don't have a quarterback in 2021. So if you're losing your mind, I can't blame you right now. There's going to be an explanation for this at some point. It's just not going to happen right now, except to say, Brock Vandagriff said, I'm not taking any interviews. I'm just going to decommit, just going to post a note to Twitter. And that's where we're at. Now, what do you do if you're Oklahoma? Well, you go recruit another quarterback. You know, you start back at square one at a time when not a lot of people wanted to start back at square one because we had been telling you what this kid is. And he is elite. He's really, really good. And he's the son of a head coach. Greg Vandergriff coaches defense. But the way I look at that was, who's going to know what your coverages are better than the quarterback whose dad is a defensive coordinator and can teach him defense? And they are very interested in football in the Vandergriff family, and they're very athletic. They're very, very interested in what Brock Vandagriff is going to do, not just at Oklahoma, but presumably in the NFL and afterward, right? Even talking about majoring in communications, perhaps because he wants to set him up for a career after football that might be in broadcast. I like talking with the kiddo. I thought he had a very, very good understanding of how good he is. And he's also got a good group of people around him. And I'm sure that he talked with his dad and his mom, and they came to this conclusion together. I don't think this was him acting out. I think that they're making an informed decision that, hey, after what happened to Oklahoma in this college football playoff and the way that you lost that game and the way that it seems like if you want to play elite college football and play for national championships, you're going to go to an SEC school or Clemson. There's no argument for that right now, man. It's been just that. It's been an SEC school or Clemson or Ohio State in the college football playoff era. You can't really argue against it. And now you might actually get feelers from guys like Ryan Day. You might actually get feelers from others. You know, I'm sure that everybody is going to come in and try to steal this kid away, but I thought this was locked up because Shane Beamer had great understanding of Georgia. Georgia's becoming an elite place to recruit dudes. Shane Beamer coming off the Georgia staff, understanding what it means to recruit that place and get a kiddo like that. But now Kirby Smart might be going, hey, cool. Now Brock, come on down. I think we might modernize the offense for what you do. Same thing with Dan Mullen down in Florida. I think we might change the offense for you. He's that kind of an elite product. Now, I also want to just round this one out with some thoughts about there were lots of kiddos that wanted to play with Brock Vandagriff that might not want to come to Oklahoma anymore, right? One of those was Dejon Reynolds, who was really interested in playing with the kid that had already committed to Oklahoma, and that's how you build a class. It's kind of like with Spencer Rattler in 2019. Trajan Bridges, Theo Weiss, and Jaden Hazelwood all wanted to play with him as well. And that's your number one wide receiver, number two wide receiver, and a top blue chip recruit that all wanted to play with that guy. And I think the new wave is going to be really fun to watch in 2020 and 2021. But you wanted to continue to build this pipeline to where Oklahoma gets into the upper echelon of recruiting rankings, and Brock Vandagriff is going to help you do that. I know that a lot of people don't really buy into the value of recruiting rankings, but if you look at what I had told you on Monday, you need a top 10 class to compete for a national championship, and you probably need a top 5 class to ensure it, right? 6 of the last 8 have had top 5 recruiting classes, all right? And we're talking about Clemson, who is a new money institution, a new money product on this grand landscape that is winning national championships, is out recruiting you. They got Trevor Lawrence. You did not. They got Brian Breesy. You did not. Xavier Thomas. I keep going. Isaiah Simmons. They developed the dudes. If you're losing your mind, I don't have much for you right now. Maybe later on as we continue to go through this together, but this is reacting to the news that Brock Vandagriff is no longer in your 2021 class, which is going to make your 2021 class dip. And you can't afford to not recruit another quarterback like you did in 2020 up until now. That's assuming Chandler Morris comes out of his good graces and commits to the class. I've always said you take a quarterback in every class, take a quarterback in every class, take a quarterback in every class. Maybe you think you can go into the transfer portal and go get somebody, and maybe that's on the table for Lincoln Riley come next year, but it's not the way to build a championship football team. And if you want to be the big fish in a little pond that is the Big 12, that's you. But that's not the pedigree and the legacy of Oklahoma. The pedigree and the legacy of Oklahoma is 47 straight. It's 7 national titles. It's 4 straight Orange Bowls during the 80s. It's not, hey, we won the Big 12. We're happy to be in the college football playoff and get our head handed to us. And this is indicative of that. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.